Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Madhava Kunjabi Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajagacharya Astatara Satasi Simad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaura Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, text 15 and 16. We're going to chant 16 because there's a purport, but they go together. Narayanam namaskritya Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Narayanam namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. So text 16. Prasada Shikarayudha Kuru Nar. Has it on the screen? 16. Well, let's go to 16. Try again. Prasada Shikaya Rodha Kuru Naro Naryo Dadrikshaya Vavrashu Kushamai Krishnam Prema Vridha Smritekshana Prasada Shikaya Rodha Kurunaryo Didrikshaya Vavrashu Kushamai Krishnam Prema Vridha Smritekshana. Kuvera, please. Mataji's? Prema Vridha Bhikshana Prasada Kuru Naryo Tadrikshaya Kushmai Krishnam Prema Vridha Smritekshanaha. No? Prasada Shikshara Rodha Kuru Naryo Dadrikshaya Prasada Palace. Shikara, the roof. Arodha, ascending. Kuru Naraha, the ladies of the Kuru royalty. Didrikshaya, seeing. Vavrishuhu, showered. Kusamai, by flowers. Krishnam, upon Lord Krishna. Prema, out of affection and love. Vridhasmrita ikshana, glancing with shy smiles. And I'm going to read the translation after I read the previous verse translation. The previous verse is connected to this one. It's Krishna's departure from Hastinapur. Text 15. While the Lord was departing from the palace of Hastinapura, different types of drums, like the mridanga, dol, nagra, dunduri, dundubi, and flutes of different types, the veena, go-mukha, and beri, all sounded together to show him honor. Out of loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace and, smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Shyness is a particular extra-natural beauty of the fair sex, and it commands respect from the opposite sex. This custom was observed even during the days of the Mahabharata, i.e. more than 5,000 years ago. It is only the less intelligent persons not well versed in the history of the world who say that observance of separation of female from male is an introduction of the Mohammedan period in India. This incident from the Mahabharata period proves definitely that the ladies of the palace observed strict prada, or restricted association with men, and instead of coming down in the open air where Lord Krishna and the others were assembled, the ladies of the palace went up to the top of the palace and from there paid their respects to Lord Krishna by showers of flowers. It is definitely stated here that the ladies were smiling there on the top of the palace, checked by shyness. This shyness is a gift of nature to the fair sex, and it enhances their beauty and prestige. even if they are of a less important family, or even if they are less attractive. We have practical experience of this fact. A sweeper woman commanded the respect of many respectable gentlemen simply by manifesting a lady's shyness. Half-naked ladies in the street do not command any respect, but a shy sweeper's wife commands respect from all. Paragraph. Human civilization, as conceived of by the sages of India, is to help one free himself from the clutches of illusion. The material beauty of a woman is an illusion, because actually the body is made of earth, water, fire, air, etc., but because there is the association of the living spark with matter, it appears to be beautiful. No one is attracted by an earthen doll, even if it is most perfectly prepared to attract the attention of others. The dead body has no beauty because no one will accept the dead body of a so-called beautiful woman. Therefore, the conclusion is that the spirit spark is beautiful, and because of the soul's beauty, one is attracted by the beauty of the outward body. The Vedic wisdom, therefore, forbids us to be attracted by false beauty, but because we are now in the darkness of ignorance, the Vedic civilization allows very restricted mixing of women and man. They say that the woman is considered to be like fire, and the man is considered to be the butter. The butter must melt in association with fire, and therefore they may be brought together only when it is necessary, and shyness is a check to the unrestricted mixing. It is nature's gift, and it must be utilized. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksh Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. A few main things. This section of the Bhagavatam, like other sections of the Bhagavatam, are rich with rasa. We discussed this a little bit yesterday. Srimad Bhagavatam is revealing Krishna. Bhagavad Gita reveals Krishna, and more completely, the Bhagavatam reveals Krishna. There's most of you know, one of the superlatively great acharyas in our disciplic line is Jiva Goswami, specifically his erudition and absorption in Srimad Bhagavatam. He wrote multiple commentaries in different styles. Rather than listing them and describing them, one of them was like this big, and there was just a commentary on the Bhagavatam, and in 6 parts, called the Sandarbhas. And the Sandarbha is a particular style. Rather than describing what that style is, he knew the style and he followed that style. And the first of those 6 is called Tattva Sandarbha. And in the beginning of Tattva Sandarbha, one of the principal things he does is, he says, I want to write about Krishna. But before writing about Krishna, it's responsible procedure to pursue the question, how can one know about Krishna? What's the basis or foundation of knowing about Krishna? And what he's getting at is Srimad Bhagavatam. because the book is about Krishna, but it's a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. So there's different steps that he goes through to establish the means of knowing anything. If you aside from something transcendental, even if you want to know anything, there are different means of knowing anything or something. Then he goes through that procedure. So I'm not going to outline the first half of Tattva Sandarbha, but sense perception and reason and logic are fallible, and therefore one needs something that's infallible. And infallible is sound that comes from an infallible source. So Bhagavatam is describing Krishna, and the emanating source, of course, is the compiler, is Vyasa, but Vyasa is an incarnation of Krishna, and therefore he concludes Krishna is the source of the Bhagavatam. Krishna is the source of the Bhagavatam, where Krishna and the Bhagavatam are revealing about Krishna. So who can know about Krishna better than Krishna? Or the Apaurushaya Shabda Praman. So one of the features of Krishna that's replete in Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, is rasa. And he goes into that discussion. I'm mentioning this because this chapter, like many other places in the Bhagavatam, there's a storyline, and the storyline is very interesting. But enriching that storyline, it's not just a history, it's history, but it's revealing rasa. And that is, so going back some verses, there's different persons. Krishna's been with the Pandavas for quite some time, and he's about to leave. Now, he's about to leave is not necessarily a chronological presentation in the Bhagavatam. For example, here in this verse it's speaking of the ladies up on the rooftops. This is chapter 10. But in chapter 8, in the same scene, Queen Kunti is not up on the rooftop. She's not complying with the cultural rule. The shyness of the lady keeps respectful distance, and so she's not unnecessarily mingling with men. The affection that they feel, the ladies on the rooftops, is identified. They're feeling emotion, they're feeling rasa, a transcendental rasa, focused completely on Krishna. It's Krishna. They're Krishna conscious ladies. And they have a certain behavior. But 2 chapters earlier, Kunti is not on the rooftop. She's the queen, Kunti. She has royal privileges, and so she's breaking the rule, or she's the exception to the rule, and she comes right up to Krishna's chariot and says everything except, please don't leave. But she says everything else, but please, she's saying, please don't leave. But she doesn't say it. And Krishna's smiling. It's a loving exchange. It's her heart being disclosed. So the point is, rasa is an essential part of understanding Krishna. To understand the Supreme, rasa is essential. And it's abundantly revealed in the Bhagavatam. And this chapter is one of those chapters. It's a particular mood of anticipation of separation, which is a kind of love. And there are various scenes in Srimad Bhagavatam and in other texts, like when Lord Ramachandra leaves Ayodhya. It's what a scene. And when he returns, So it's emotion. There's that storyline, but there's the personality of Godhead. When he appears, he's stimulating and churning transcendental emotion in relation to him. So his departing Hastinapur and heading for Dwarka is a pastime. It's a story connected with the whole picture, and it's an exchange of love and stimulating love of a particular kind. And then how that love is exhibited is different according to the different persons. So there's citizens, and there's the Pandavas, and there's the ladies, and there's etc. What happens is, when after Kunti's prayers, Krishna smiles and he's ready to go. And then Yudhishthira comes, and Yudhishthira says, please stay a while longer. So Krishna stays a while longer. It's not like Yudhishthira is more important than Kunti. It's just a flow of a certain pastime. He's honoring the emperor of the world, was asking him to stay some days longer. And he's moved by the love of his devotee. That's the nature of rasa. So he subordinates his desire to Yudhishthira's desire. And he doesn't heed what Kunti says, because it's a part of his regard for Kunti is he honors her, he smiles, but he's ready to go. So he gives some service again to Yudhishthira, because Krishna is in the heart of Yudhishthira, and he's prompting Yudhishthira to, you come forward now, and I'll stay. He is in the heart of every living entity, and then his pastimes are prompted by him. It's just fantastic. Everything moves from Krishna's desire, and Krishna's desire loving exchange, and how it happens is through the agency of his potencies, and it's just fantastic. And we're giving a picture of who is Krishna, and how does he interact with his devotees in the stage of perfection. So now back to this particular verse 16. Prabhupada is certainly 100%. Prabhupada understood his audience. And during his time, even in India, what to speak in the West, there has been a shift away from the Vedic model to a more modern model. And the more modern model is different than the Vedic model. And the Vedic model is restriction, respectful restriction, and a nice ornament of ladies who respectfully observe their place, or a place, where they may be super qualified, and at the same time they observe the cultural norm of keeping a respectful distance and shy. This story, Prabhupada doesn't give the whole story, but I've heard him describe it in lectures. He was conducting some business discussion with one man in a room, and there was a cleaning lady. She had a broom in her hand and a cloth in the other hand, and she was cleaning the room, and she had to get from where she was to where they were. She didn't say anything. Shyly, she stood there. Both men, Prabhupada and the person he was with, this is from memory. Someone may have a different memory of this narration, but they noticed she was just standing there, and although she said nothing, respectfully, because of the power of her shyness, they both stood up and moved, because she was waiting for them but didn't say anything out of her shyness. So he points to this as an example of the shyness of a sweeping lady can control two powerful men. Now, if the sweeping lady was a brazen personality, they might have also moved, but the sweetness of the exchange and the respect exchanged between the two would not be so prominent, likely. So here it is in his Bhaktivedanta purport of something that he has shared, because it was a personal experience, the power of shyness of a lady. And in persons who are cultured, that garners respect. Now supposing it's Kali Yuga, because it's Kali Yuga, and there's this thing that people say, yeah, but if you're humble, people will take advantage of you. And they have their experience of being humble, and people see, oh, this is a weak person, so I'll take advantage of them. So, therefore, don't be humble. Be a brazen man or lady. That it adds to the complication of a civilization that has deteriorated. So how do you add to creating a civilization that's not deteriorated or that has proper standards? You live according to the standards of a cultured person, and a cultured person observes cultured person standards. And it's powerful. Even if someone tries to take advantage. Because if you know who you are, no one can touch you. This is Mother Teresa. If you know who you are, no one can touch you. Because it's a little bit like Socrates. He was condemned to death for the heresy of teaching the eternality of the soul. During that time in Greece, that was a heresy. I mean, later it became a fact, but at a certain point in history it was a heresy. So he was condemned to death. And the death penalty was poison. He was voluntarily to drink hemlock poison. So they gave him, because he was an elevated, learned person, they gave him the privilege of how he would like his funeral to be conducted after his death. So they asked him, how would you like your funeral to be conducted? And his answer was, first you'll have to catch me. Then he drank the hemlock. Meaning, the soul, the heresy of the soul different than the body, is a fact. And he had such confidence, conviction, that he spoke the way that he spoke, and he did what he did. And so what do you do? No, we're not advocating taking the position of Socrates, but if you know who you are, nothing can touch you, good or bad, from the material side. So now what Prabhupada is doing in the purport here, as I was reading the purport, I was appreciating, he's venturing into territory that he knows there's a lot of opinion about this stuff. And it's not like he doesn't care, or not that he doesn't know, but he's speaking from the high standard. And rather than kneeling or yielding to the modern standard, boldly, and he's speaking the Vedic standard. Remember, he's writing this book in Vrindavan under the order of his spiritual master to go to the West. And he knows he's not an uninformed or foolish person. He knows the audience. And he's going to, from the very get-go, bold. Like you're confronting the modern picture. Respectfully, because it's within the purport, this 2-paragraph purport, full-page purport, that men should be respectful of ladies in principle, and particularly ladies who are of a character of shyness. Now, what happens with a character of someone that's social or garrulous, or they like to speak, they like to interact. I know some very wonderful devotees that are like that. It's just fine. In the bottom line, they know their place. At the same time, they have their personality, but they know their place. They know when to speak, when not to speak, but they're, socially animated personalities. And that's just fine, because the bottom line is that there's a shyness valve that protects them and protects the men with whom they associate. So the picture that's being presented in the Bhaktivedanta purport, along with the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's the Supreme Person, Krishna, is being revealed. Krishna, of paramount of all of his characteristics, is rasa, rasovaisaha, as the Shruti mantras say. He is rasa, and he's stimulating rasa in various ways. Through his pastimes, he's stimulating rasa. This is a particular departing, so anticipation of loss of his association. There's an emotion. And then different persons have different positions of their emotion. And so in this particular morning's verse is the ladies, and then the previous verse is others. They have other emotions which are appropriate for the circumstance. Contextually, it's stimulation of love. And Krishna has other pastimes to perform, so he's returning to Dwarka from Hastinapur. And then there's Dharma woven into the storyline. There's rasa, there's dharma, and there's tattva, because Krishna is the Supreme. So as the Supreme, his supremacy is being revealed. The duties of life, dharma, is being revealed. What is appropriate for one in this situation, that situation, the other situation. The picture is very clear, because these are very qualified persons. They're displaying their examples to help us understand what's proper dharma for someone in this, that, or the other situation. Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai. I guess that's a signal class is over. Let's see if there's some discussion. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Wow, the air conditioning shut down.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Nice explanation, Maharaj. We see that Srila Prabhupada was over and over emphasized this, that one should be very careful with the opposite sex.
Yes.
And here in this particular purport also Srila Prabhupada says shyness is the ornaments for a woman.
Yes.
Within our movement also we see so many problems. Is it because of the lack of shyness or?
Well, a lack of culture. and the influence of the mode of passion. So one could say that, but it's not. There are different ways of describing the same thing. That's one of the ways of describing, but it's not the way of describing. Supposing there's shyness, that doesn't mean that some man or some woman could be overwhelmed by the modes of nature and behave inappropriately. When there's a tidal wave, it's not just one thing. Some persons just become overwhelmed by circumstance, and that's not their nature, but when the storm or the tidal wave comes, they behave in a way that's inappropriate. And then they're like, whoa, what happened? So, there's multiple explanations, that's one. And, it takes two to tango. So generally speaking, it's not a one-sided affair. It's not, the lady or ladies were insufficiently shy. It takes two to tango. But you put the two not sufficiently shy, and material conditioning. I mean, it's just step back and refer to something that you said earlier. Prabhupada, over and over and over, and like a broken record, he kept speaking about this number one attraction in the hit parade of affinity for sense gratification. There's different, but number one, always in Prabhupada's list, is male-female attraction. And there's a reason for it. The reason for it is, it's not just a human, it's what keeps the species going. Somebody's phone. It's yours. Okay. I was, a little while ago, I was in Gita Nagari. It's just anecdotal. And I was under the wrong impression that anyone that's been to Gita Nagari farm has seen there's peacocks all over the place. And I was under the impression that the peacocks were imported into the country from India, one male, one female. And today, the whole Juniata County is replete with peacocks. And there weren't indigenous peacocks. So my understanding was, it's just, what makes life go on is the conjugation of male and female. Without it, life doesn't go on. It's needed for life to go on. And therefore, it's such a powerful force, male-female attraction. I was corrected. I asked in the class, I told the story, because you probably noticed all the peacocks, where'd they come from? So someone that's from Gita Nagari sent me a text message saying how it came to be. There was an Amish farmer that had a male-female peacock, and he was given a male and female peacock to one devotee who was like in one of the early days at Gita Nagari. And then, the population in the whole county from one male, one female. In other words, and just as anecdotal, the male-female attraction is true for any species of life, not with the exception of human life, and therefore an involvement in materialistic way of life has that as a fundamental attraction. And it's not, pointing fingers at anyone, men or ladies, or, it's just the way of nature. It's strong. And one may say, well, I'm not like that, and that's okay. But weakness is there just being embodied, the tendency, unless there's a very unique situation, like Haridas Thakur, etc. So back to your question, is that the reason? It may be a very important contributing reason. And for training and education, it's right in the Bhagavatam and right in the Bhaktivedanta Purport. So followers of the Srimad Bhagavatam, or Vaishnavas, should understand the principle, and when a lady is shy, be respectful. And don't take advantage. And if a lady is shy, someone may want to take advantage, but she'll be protected. Those who abide by Dharma are protected by Dharma. Then there's the exception. There's aggressive people that they're ready to go to hell, they don't mind, and they violate sensibilities. That's a long answer to your simple question. Anything else? Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So I wanted to ask, the quality of shyness.
A little further away, thank you.
Which of the 26 qualities of a devotee does shyness apply to? And secondly, is the quality of shyness something that applies to men as well, and should they be looking to cultivate this?
I can't remember if that's one of the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava. Does anybody here remember?
I checked the list, it's not on.
It's not on the list. Okay. So you've answered your question.
So does it relate to any quality?
It's a cultural recommendation or standard for ladies. Now, is it inappropriate for a man to be shy? It's perfectly appropriate for a man to be shy, but a lot depends upon their psychophysical nature and thus their duty, that which is meant for them to be done. For example, it's not uncommon, it's common for little children, boys or girls, to be shy. And it's also not uncommon for a little boy or a little girl to be not shy. They're very garrulous, and they don't have to be spoken to. They'll speak up, just like, this. But there are others that are, even if you speak to them, they'll look you in the eye, or they'll turn away or something, but they're shy, and it's okay. Different personality types. But as one grows and gets training and education to understand the appropriate situation, respecting this number one attraction in the material world, is male-female attraction for one another, and the risks involved in unrestricted association. So association, fine. Unrestricted, not fine. So what's the line between unrestricted and restricted? And that depends on circumstance. Like in kirtan. The ladies dance here, the men dance there. They're both dancing, but it's not the ballroom dance. Prabhupada's phrase. And there's other examples I don't need to go into. Anything else? Sarva.
I was speculating that gravity is one of the 26 qualities. Gravity is kind of implies the opposite of frivolous or So gravity is sort of like shyness in some ways, maybe, sort of a speculation.
Yeah, I agree. If I understood you correctly, yeah, it's different than a fundamental characteristic. It's something separate. Srila